are burning in the sky. What do you have to say? Have to say, wait. The world is crumbling right before your eyes. What do you have to save? Have to save. Empathy is just a memory. You would betray me in a heartbeat. Do you hold anything dear? You got anything to say then? Any reason left to tell me? I can let go my fear.
Hey.
Hey mate, how are you?
Hello, hello. I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing good. How are you today?
Oh, I'm good. I'm fine. Really excited for this one. Thank you for rescheduling and thank you for having me.
It's a pleasure, mate. So, how was your day so far?
I'm good, good, I guess. I mean, a bit of a lazy day, I think. But yeah, it's really excited for the rehearsals this weekend because we're rehearsing for a
Yeah.
festival in October. So this is what I'm getting ready for now.
Wonderful, wonderful. So, your sophomore album, Kiss or Ghost Goodbye, is to be out on September 26th. So, would you like to tell me a bit on the songwriting and production that goes behind this new album?
hmm So yeah, as opposed to the first record, which was, a conceptual album from the get-go, so we were kind of working towards a concept from, a pretty early stage. For this one, I kind of really wanted for the songs to be written as such, as songs, so that every song can speak for itself without it having, a concept umbrella from the very start. But it was interesting that through the course of writing the songs, it did end up just naturally kind of, all of the songs kind of talk about similar topics and a similar common thread. So we almost have concept album by mistake, if that makes sense. Um, and yeah, it's we pretty much started with. I mean, the first ideas we had for this record, were some leftover ideas from album one actually, and we already started really seriously diving into the process of writing those songs, those new songs, before the first album was even fully released. Just because with the first one we saw how long the whole process from the first second you start writing something to the moment you can actually release it after all the production and mixes and masters and everything. So we wanted to start early. And I started all the songs with just some synth sounds, loops, samples. I really, because the first record I wrote it all with just my voice and my acoustic guitar, and then we added the band arrangements and everything. This time around, we started in a much more of a production headspace because we started with the synths and with the loops and with the beats and everything. And I guess that kind of you can kind of hear that on the album because it's much more electronic. And and the actual messages of the songs and the lyrics and everything started happening later. Um, but it was always kind of a thing where we had a kind of a cool working demo going on. We liked it. We were thinking about, okay, how does this make me feel? Okay, this is how it makes me feel. Let's write some lyrics on top of that. And again, coincidentally, it was, some very similar topics, which, we can dive into later if you want. But yeah, and in terms of production, since you mentioned, that was a big, big, big goal with this record, because I remember when we listened back to the first one, it might have been before even the first single was out, I'm not sure, but it definitely before the album was out. And we were listening to it and we were all like, we're proud, it's good, we did something really cool. It was the first record, hell yeah. But then we started comparing it, to some of the bands we know and love, like bands that we really aspire to, like Bring Me the Horizon, Bad Omens, and artists like that. And we're like, okay, these guys can do it even better. Can we try to do it even better, or at least as good as we kind of can? And so we really, yeah, we stepped up the production thing. We kind of self co-produced this one together with the co-producer Randy Slaw, who worked on the first record already, but just for some additional programming. Here he, had a much, much, much bigger role. And with him working with, artists like Gaskets, The Amity Affliction, even Architects and bands like that, we knew that he would really, really understand exactly what we wanted to do here. And especially since he works with artists from other genres as well, like Jelly Roll and, artists from way, way, way different genres than metal. We knew that he would understand our vibe because we really like to fuse elements from other genres together as well. So we knew that he would understand that and he would be able to pull it off, and he did. And yeah, then for the rest of the production, the mix and the masters and stuff, we also, we looked at artists that we like, know, and love and listen to, looked at their teams and who works for them, and started reaching out and seeing, if any of those guys would work with us. And we ended up with a pretty cool team. I'm really happy with how it turned out.
Fantastic, fantastic. And as you said, like each song has its own particular concept, but does it have a core conceptual idea when you have started writing this album?
Yeah, it not at the start when I was writing, but after writing a couple of songs and seeing that I guess, my mind is it was kind of in the same space, I guess, because the songs were written in the same period. Um, Pretty much all of the songs talk about three different topics, I guess, loosely. One would be my MS diagnosis, because I was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis between album one and album two. And I'm doing good, by the way. The medication is working, so all good. But it was a scary time when I first got the diagnosis, because my first thought was, okay, I'm gonna die now. That was what went through my mind first, although that's not the case, obviously. But you get scared. So some of the songs are, about that experience of kind of going through that and trying to figure it out, and some have a little more of a pessimistic outview, but always in all my songs, I like to try to find a kind of a silver lining and the message of hope because when I write songs, it's also a very cathartic experience for me. I work through my own stuff, as a lot of other artists do, of course. But I work through my own stuff by writing, and that's why I always try to find that hopeful silver lining, so that I'm not even more depressed by the end of it. So that was one, and one. So the subsequent issues with depression and suicidal ideations that I've had, partly due to the diagnosis. And then, one big topic here is because between album one and album two, I finally publicly came out as bisexual. And so I didn't want to make any song, any kind of like too much of a propaganda song or anything like that. But, it is something that I had to work through, and I wanted to truly, truly be honest with the listener and share my feelings about it and how I worked through it. So, none of the songs are actually that talk about that. I mean, are not actually love songs in any way. They're more about the issues that I and my partner have encountered because of this, like, bigotry, getting rejected by certain family members, certain friends and stuff like that. So that's more the aspect we focused on. And then the third big one, like the recent single and the final track on the record, What Do You Have to Say, is a great, great example of that. It was pretty much, the topic of seeing the world kind of deteriorating in a way, because I feel like, us as a society, up to a certain point throughout my entire life since I was born, we had this feeling of progress and always, trying to make the world a better place day by day. Stuff's getting better. We're, building a better world for everybody. And I feel like recently, in recent years, it's going the opposite way. It's in a lot of, not in every sense ever, but in a lot of ways and in a lot of senses. And, we're having more and more racism, bigotry, xenophobia, hate, all of that stuff that we were working to fight against. And it was just sort of this existential theme of me thinking about, okay, is there anything good left in the world that's still worth fighting for, or we all just fucked, so to speak. So those are the main three, and that's why that's why I said that it kind of had a common thread, because I almost I perceived all of these songs as, or the themes of the songs, as ghosts that were haunting me in a way. And through working through them by writing these songs and by putting them out, I try to work through it all and kiss those ghosts goodbye. And with the album title and with the whole overlaying theme, I'm kind of trying to urge the listener to maybe try to work through their own stuff and kiss their own ghosts goodbye as well. So hopefully they will.
And any album, the artwork is something that speaks about the album. So would you like to tell me which on the making of this cover artwork for this album?
Yeah, we went through a couple iterations, and Remy Bordet, who did this fantastic album cover. Yeah, we're so happy with it. He's a great artist, so hats off to him. But yeah, we went through a few other people before that, and we weren't quite happy. I knew from a kind of an early stage what, kind of the basic theme of what I wanted to have on the album artwork. So I knew that because it was such a personal record for me, in a lot of ways, ironically, I guess, but in a lot of ways even more so than the first one, I knew that I wanted to have myself on album artwork, but again, not because I'm cocky like that and I want to be the center of attention, but it was so personal that it felt most logical to, make it really, really obvious that, okay, this is me putting my heart on my sleeve for everybody to see and hear. So it just felt right. And because of this kissing ghosts goodbye and stuff, overlaying theme, I, always envisioned that it should be me in kind of a desolated space, deserty kind of, area with some actual ghosts in the background. And again, we went through, various iterations and stuff. And then when we started working with Remy, he very, very early on got exactly what I wanted. One of the first drafts he sent, that was already like, okay, this is the guy we want to do this album artwork and all of the singles artworks and everything. And yeah, he pretty much nailed it. I'm so glad that, he was able to, especially with the color scheme and everything, the artwork kind of speaks for itself. Because if you've noticed, we haven't put, any text on it, no album title, no Hei'An logo, no nothing. We hid a Hei'An logo on the pendant on the figure of me in the desert, just, so it's obvious that it is a Hei'An record. But we wanted sort of the album title when you see it to kind of spell out the title without it being spelled out, if that makes sense. So that's like me and the ghost and everything. So yeah, it was quite a journey, and I'm really, really happy that it's such a striking representation of the songs themselves. So I'm really glad. Yeah.
And really had the pleasure to listen to the album in its entirety. And I have to say, 10 beautiful songs, beautifully written. And I've been following you guys since the early release in 2022 with debut album. So you guys are doing amazingly well. And this album is a great comeback, I have to say. And the songwriting, the vocals, the musicianship, the musical progression, everything was so amazingly done, and I totally enjoyed each and every song from this album. So thanks to you guys for putting up an amazing album this year. And as a band, as the creators of the music, how do
Mhm.
you guys feel about the outcome of this new album?
Now that it's coming out, I mean, it's been a long time coming. It feels like, like giving birth to a baby almost, because it's, again, I mean, I'm never gonna, be able to feel that sensation, but I feel like this is as close that we're gonna come to ideologically as a band, because it's been such a long time coming. We started writing the album before Imago was even out, really, really slowly, but we already did start. And, from just picking the right team and everything just took so much effort and so much work and so much time. Because, we would have loved to have released this record way, 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 sooner, but it wouldn't have been as good because we wouldn't have found these people yet, and we wouldn't have, polished everything yet. Because also the songs went through a lot of iterations. And I'm glad that you mentioned the vocals and the musicianship, because I actually, with this record, not just with the production, also ourselves as musicians and as a band, we really, really wanted to kind of take it up a notch and, just do that next step. And I also, I took some additional vocal lessons. The other boys, wrote some stuff that it was kind of challenging for them to play, and then rehearsed their asses off to be able to play it. And every little detail, especially because we were co-producers this time, and we were actually involved in the production itself to a much, much, much higher degree. We, were really playing with every single detail so that it sounds exactly like we want. I'm not saying it's the best record in the world, but it's definitely exactly as we wanted it to be. So
Yeah.
that's why we're super proud. So yeah, considering the fact it's been so long since we started this process, I'm just so, so, so glad it's finally coming out, and I'm really glad that the responses so far have been really, really cool. We were kind of, we weren't scared, but we were interested to, see how people will perceive it, especially compared to the first one, because it is kind of a leap and kind of a, not a different direction, but a really big evolution, I guess. I still feel like it's a natural evolution, just a really drastic one, but yeah. And I'm glad that people seem to like it, and I'm glad that you like it, since you said that, you did listen to the first record at that time already. Thank you so much, man. And it's been really heartwarming to see that kind of response, that people, get it, that, people appreciate it for what it is. And I'm glad that people can connect to the lyrics. We got a lot of comments on TikTok and stuff about, about Make Me Want to Leave You, which was an anti-homophobia song, about, how some people felt really connected to that. We got, comments on what do you have to say about how, oh, wow, this song really makes me think. And, some people even DM'd us with really, really personal messages of, their stories of how the songs touched them. And that's something that did happen a few times with the first album, but it happened a lot more with this one. So I guess it feels like we did something right. And it's just, it's just a lot of joy that it's finally out and coming out. So yeah.
Fantastic. And speaking of the released videos and singles, you released DVDs for What a Shame, To Let You Down, Make You Want to Leave You, and finally a lyric video for What Do You Have to Say. So, you like to tell me a bit on the making of these videos?
Mhm. Yeah. So the first one was Make Me Want to Leave You. That was the first one we did, and also the first one that came out. And we actually did it really, really early on. Probably about it was probably finished about a year before it came out, but we didn't have the other ones yet, so that's why we were waiting before releasing it. We were, kind of still figuring out the strategy. But yeah, we knew that with the music videos as well, since we did do all of those, upgrades, I guess, and steps up or whatever. Musically, we wanted the music videos to look even better or better, whatever, as opposed to the Imago music videos. Although we still like those, right? But we wanted to make them look even more proper, even more professional, even more like a proper band, not just a hobby local band anymore, if that makes sense. And that's why we contacted Grupa 13, right, from the get-go, because they're such a fantastic Polish video company. They worked with Behemoth, with Leprous, with Arch Enemy, with so many bands that we love here from Europe. And we first, when we contacted them, we wanted to see if that would be even doable. We weren't really expecting them to get back to us, or we thought that maybe the price would be like super extreme or anything. But the good thing about them is that they can work with any budget. You just, you tell them what you can do, and then they make something happen. So that's great. And they were so nice. So they took us on with open arms, even though we are a no-name band compared to all of those other names they work with. And we really hit it off. They understood our vision extremely well, and that's why we knew that okay, we have to do at least one more with these guys. And we knew immediately it would have to be What a Shame, because it's another heavier song, and we knew that their aesthetic, because it is kind of a visually heavy aesthetic as well, and we knew it would work super well with that single too. And for the other videos, so To Let You Down, that one, we knew we wanted it to be a single, but we weren't sure what kind of video we wanted it to have. And we're like, dude, we've never done a performance video before. What if we just do it? So that's what, we did. And it's really funny because it has even more views on YouTube than Make Me Want to Leave You right now, although less than What a Shame, but still. So apparently people really appreciated that kind of DIY look into the rehearsal space and stuff, which, we're kind of, it was a gamble because we didn't know if people would perceive it as too DIY and wouldn't like it, or if they actually would vibe with it. I'm really glad that they do. And what they have to say, yeah, the studio footage and everything that we took, it was just a fantastic opportunity to use it again, because we'll also be, and now I think I'm announcing this for the first time, but we'll also be releasing like a little behind the scenes, behind the album video after the album's out, probably not right away, but after a bit. And some of that footage that wasn't used in that, we decided to use in the What Do You Have to Say lyric video. But because the song is such a impactful song lyrically, I feel like it has one of the strongest messages that are directed directly towards the listener. I just felt like that anybody that does see this video needs to really, really pay attention to the lyrics. So let's just put them on screen and have them read them out loud. And I'm happy with that. And we actually do have another video coming out that will come out on the day of the release, which I won't talk about too much since it isn't out yet. But there's one more that's coming out. Yeah.
I'm really looking forward for the next single. So, September 26th, the album is to be out. So, do you guys have some big plans for the day?
For that day, I'm not sure. I think we'll probably be refreshing the numbers all day, probably, just to see how many people are actually listening. But yeah, some of the first merch batches from the pre-orders are being sent out then, so that people can finally receive them. We'll probably get together. I mean, as I said, we have rehearsals this weekend with the full band, so we'll probably talk more with the boys about what we're gonna do on Thursday then. But I guess we'll just get together, maybe cheer a bit because of this fantastic milestone. But yeah, the main thing that is in store, that's happening a month later, but that we're really, really thinking about right now and working on right now, is the release festival. Because we have a 2-day release festival going on in Ljubljana here in Slovenia in honor of this record, and it's pretty much almost exactly a month after the album release, and that's why it's probably the most ambitious live project we ever did, because although it's not like it's going to be us playing in front of 20,000 people or anything crazy like that, but still, I feel like headlining a small 2-day festival is a big, big, big step for us right now. And, ticket sales are going well. We didn't sell it out yet, but they are going, they're being sold faster than expected, which is sick. So I think we are probably going to party at least a little to, commemorate the digital and physical release of the record, but we're going to be hard at work at preparing everything for the release festival so that that goes well. After that, then we can relax for a bit.
Wonderful. Sounds like a plan. And speaking on touring, are there any big touring plans for the year?
So for 2025, this release festival will be the only two Hei'An live performances, because we really, really wanted to make it exclusive and special, and you know have people, if they want to see us live this year, have them come to this show, because it really is going to be special. We have two different sets. One is going to be the new album front to back, of course, and the other day it's a bit of a special set. I'm not going to spoil it, but it is still centered around the new album, of course. But we have a lot of surprises, and four fantastic openers, a Hei'An beer, food truck. So that's why we decided let's make it exclusive, just this year. But yes, we are planning a lot of stuff for next year. I can't really announce anything concrete yet because it's all still, up and down in the works. Stuff is popping up, crashing. We're still in the planning stages. But we'll definitely be hitting the road in the first half of the year around Europe. We'll see how long that will end up being, but we'll definitely hit the road again in the first half of 2026. We're looking at a lot of festival pitches and festival bookings for the summer. We'll see which exactly will actually end up going through. But considering that the Imago festival season went pretty well, we're hoping that the Kiss or Dust Goodbye festival season should go even better. Fingers crossed. And yeah, just we're networking with more and more people from the industry recently, so that's why I feel like more and more doors are slowly starting to open up. And even though touring is getting more and more challenging because it's getting crazy, crazy expensive, just gas prices and Airbnb prices and stuff like that, which is the least of it. But even that is getting so expensive, so it is getting harder and harder. But I feel like in spite of that, we might, and again, fingers crossed, but considering what we're planning right now, we might do more shows in 2026 alone than we've done in our entire career so far. Hopefully. And again, can't announce anything concrete, but that's what we're planning on.
Well, great. And any big merchandise plans to go along with this new album?
Oh, I mean, we have a lot of merch that's already available for pre-order, and that does drop on the day of the album release. So yeah, we have, the CDs and the vinyls, of course, with that wonderful artwork that Remy Morday did. We have, t-shirts, the hoodies and beanies, same as for the Imago cycle, just with new designs, and I'm really, really proud of the designs. But we also already, we have some new merch items that we've never had before. We have a tank top now, which we've never had. And I'm so glad because we've made it so bright and festival-like, and we put on a new black metalized Hei'An logo, just to make it a bit more fun and a bit more summery. So we're hoping people will be wearing it in the summer for festivals. That's what it was kind of meant for. I'm definitely going to be wearing it in the summer for festivals. So so we do have some new items that we never had before, which I'm really proud of. And we do have that Hei'An beer that I mentioned that's going to be dropped on the release festival. We'll see if we'll be able to sell any of that after the festival, because if it's all sold out there, we might keep it at that for a bit. But yeah, we are kind of, branching out. Nothing crazy yet, no jewelry and pendants and butt plugs. I know Ghosts have that, or anything like that, but we are expanding a bit. So if anybody wants to support us by buying merch, we have a lot of options now. So feel free.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Speaking of Hei'An, the band was formed back in 2020, and in 2022, debut album Imago, and followed up with 2023 Live at EastWest Studios, and EP came out, and now with Kiss or Ghost Goodbye. So, how do you feel about the road that you have traveled so for the last 5 years?
It's been a pretty crazy ride because I mean in 2020 I had all of these songs lying around because I was writing songs since early high school, just never did anything with them. And in 2020 when I had time, I finally created the band and made the whole project, and we arranged it all and everything. And to think that from that point, just me in my bedroom during COVID, during lockdown, we were able, just fast forward 2 years, 3 years, we were able to play 70,000 tons of metal, play Eurosonic Festival, and Metal Days main stage and all those kind of high profile gigs. And the live at EastWest thing was also a crazy thing to do that just kind of fell onto our lap because we were just, I mean, I guess we were at the right place at the right time and had enough balls to actually ask for it. And that's how the whole arrangement came to be. So yeah, I feel like, for such a young band and for a band from such a, from a country that's not really a big country on the metal market, sadly, although we do have a really cool scene here, but, it's not a big target, in terms of the entirety of Europe. Bands usually target Germany and Poland and, countries like that over here. And considering all of these challenges, I'm really proud of, the road we've walked so far. I'm really glad that in just 5 years we were able to come to a level with this new record that's coming out now, come to a level that's now this close, I feel like, in terms of quality to the bands that we listen to, because, that's always what we try to do. We listen to all of those big artists and we try to we try to do our own thing. We don't want to sound like a bad copy of anybody, but in terms of production quality and overall quality, we obviously do want to, be like them or even better if we can or whatever. So I'm really, really glad that we were able to grow a lot as musicians and as a band to now come to a point where we're kind of almost there. I feel like we'll never truly be there because I feel like we're all perfectionists and we're all going to be like, no, this could be even better. Oh, no, dude, we could do this way or whatever. But it's also, in a way, it's exciting that we have this out view on this whole thing, I feel like, because I'm hoping that that's why we'll never get bored of it and we'll keep doing what we're doing because we're always keeping it fun and challenging ourselves in a way. So yeah, it's been a hell of a ride, but I'm hoping it'll get even more crazy with the touring thing. So,
Absolutely. And I know there has been a lot of highlights in the last few years, but is there something special that you want to share with the fans today?
any highlights, like anecdotes, like a story, or?
Just some great moments that has happened over the years, maybe in a touring or
Mhm,
band, something special.
mhm. Mm. One thing came to mind right away. Yeah, it was a really, really, really special moment. So it was a gig. It was sometime in 2023, I think, probably, yeah, in the Czech Republic in Brno, and it was this small club called Unleaded Coffee, which is a sick club. It's a really cool club. It's just it's really small, and kind of it feels like it has a really kind of a DIY kind of vibe and a very cool community vibe because of that. So we performed it twice and we've loved it both times. And this was the first time we played there. And I remember there weren't that many people there. I don't remember how many, but there weren't that many people. It wasn't empty, but it wasn't sold out. It was like something in between. But there was this one guy on a wheelchair moshing like crazy. It felt like he had the best time ever. His smile was up to here, and he was spinning around in a wheelchair. And I remember while performing, we're just looking at him and looking at each other, and we're like, dude, this is crazy. What's going on right now? And after the gig, he came to us and shook our hands like this, and we gave him some drumsticks as well. And it was just such a heartfelt. I remember we all were misty-eyed and we were a bit almost half crying after it because moments like that kind of touch you, that somebody with such a disability was able to. We were able to make his evening so good despite the obstacles that he's fighting, and it was just kind of a really eye-opening, putting things into perspective kind of thing, and also such a heartwarming thing to experience. Because even playing in front of thousands of people, I feel like, although we've never played in front of a lot of thousands of people, far from it, but even playing in front of more people, if they're kind of a dead crowd, it doesn't give you nearly the same satisfaction as a small crowd that has energy gives you. And when we saw a moment like this with the wheelchair mosh, it was just definitely one of the highlights of our touring career so far. So this comes to mind. This comes to mind.
Thank you. Thanks for sharing. And finally, any message that you have for the fans around the world?
Message. um, I guess if you are going to listen to the record, and I hope you will, and I hope you'll like it, I just hope, you'll this record really helped me a lot mentally to process some of those things that I talked about before. So I'm really hoping that to anybody who's going to listen to it as well, that it might bring at least a tiny bit of peace and solace and catharsis and help as it did me. Because if it does help at least one person that'll listen to that, then the point of the album is achieved, I guess. So happy listening.
And I want to thank you so much for giving me today this wonderful opportunity to have you on the show and to speak on the upcoming album, Kiss or Ghost Goodbye. Like I said earlier, fantastic album, a great comeback again from you guys, and totally digging this album. So thanks for all the awesomeness that you have put inside this album. And I wish you and the entire band all the success, and really hoping to see you guys on the road real soon.
Thank you. Thank you. Hoping for that as well. Yeah. Thank you so much. Really appreciate it. And thanks for having me, of course.
It's
Thank you.
okay, mate. And take care of yourself and have a great evening out there.
Right. You
Bye.
too. Perfect. Thank you. Bye bye.